Manic quick eating all the Halloween candy. That's for the kids when they get here. Oh, sup bitches. Didn't see you there. We didn't expect you to get here so early. Would you like to sit down and listen to our spooky tale while we wait for the other kids to arrive?
Yes.
Really? That's great, 'cause Knuckles just got done writing a really spooky story.
I sure did. Hey, do you promise you won't shit your pants, 'cause this is pretty scary?
Yes.
Alright then, pick the seat and sit down, 'cause we're diving right into our spooky tale right away. Our spooky tale begins on the night just before All Hallows Eve. Sonic the Hedgehog, as well as his siblings Sonia and Manic, had just got finished with watching one of their favorite Halloween broadcasts that comes on every year, Dolls That Come to Life. Coincidentally, Sonia herself had a doll, a very precious one that she holds dear to her heart. Miss Pretty Bottom. Now normally Manic would think nothing of the doll, but due to the show that had just ended, he was a bit spooked. He tried convincing Sonia to throw Miss Pretty Bottom away, but Sonia declined, claiming that it was one of her favorites and that it was very expensive. Almost immediately Sonic sided with Manic, telling Sonia to throw the doll away, over the off chance that the doll might actually be cursed, like the ones in the TV show. Sonia thought all that was just nonsense, and tried reminding them it was just a TV show, made to scare the viewers, but Sonic and Manic weren't having any of it. After telling Sonia that they were going to beat her ass if she didn't hand over the doll, their mother, Alina, walked into the room to see what all the fuss was about. Each of the hedgehogs told Alina their sides of the story, and she soon agreed with Sonia, telling Sonic and Manic that they're just being silly. Dolls aren't evil, and they definitely can't come to life. She then sent the three off to bed, grounding Sonic and Manic for the weekend. Later that night, Sonic and Manic, even more pissed off for being grounded, went to Sonia's room. They took the doll out of Sonia's hands. They then quietly made their way into the backyard, shovel in hand, ready to bury Miss Pretty Bottom once and for all. As Sonic was digging the hole, he couldn't help but imagine what it would feel like if his lover, Bartleby, shoved the shovel up his ass. After the hole was dug, Manic threw Miss Pretty Bottom into the ground, like the evil little bitch that she was. They filled the hole back up with dirt. It was done. Miss Pretty Bottom was out of their lives for good. After that, they went back into the house, shocked to see that not only their sister Sonia awake, but their mother and Uncle Chuck as well. Not just them, but their friends, Knuckles, Mindy, and Mindy's dad was there too. Even Sonic's lover, Bartleby, was there. What could be so important that would make everyone gather up here? The two bros asked the gang what was going on. It seems as though Sonia had woken up in panic to find that her doll was missing, so she called everyone together for a search mission. Sonic and Manic, unsure of how to explain to everyone that they'd buried the doll, decided it would be best not to tell anyone. Instead, they agreed to play along and help everyone look for the missing doll. All of a sudden, the lights in the kitchen began to flicker, which was odd because Uncle Chuck had just put a new light bulb in the previous night. Then there was a loud crash of thunder. Lightning lit up the room. Rain began to pour down. As everyone looked around at each other in silence, an ominous scream came from the other side of the kitchen. It was Mindy. Everyone looked over to see what she was so scared of. She was pointing at the kitchen window. Just outside the window was what appeared to be Miss Pretty Bottom. Her eyes looked as though they were nothing but darkness and hatred. Miss Pretty Bottom was alive. Everyone just stared at the window in fear for a few seconds, wondering what to do. All of a sudden Sonic turned and bolted towards the living room as fast as he could. He was not about to become that doll's bitch. Everyone followed closely behind. As they all got to the living room, Mindy called out Manic's name. Everyone turned to see Mindy screaming in pain. For some reason, her hair had been caught on something. Or so they thought. Uncle Chuck pointed up at something in the corner of the wall, where Mindy's hair was being pulled. Miss Pretty Bottom was in the air vent. Mindy cried for help as she could feel herself being lifted off the ground. Miss Pretty Bottom was trying to pull her in. Manic ran over and clutched Mindy with great force. He wasn't about to let that evil doll take his girlfriend away from him. But Miss Pretty Bottom was too strong for him. Mindy was being pulled away. Knuckles and Bartleby ran over to help Manic, but it was still no use. Instead, Manic, Knuckles, and Bartleby accidentally ripped off Mindy's clothes. Her boobs bounced everywhere. Then in the blink of an eye, Mindy was pulled into the air vent. She was gone. Manic fell to the ground holding the last thing he had left of his girlfriend, a piece of her underwear. Everyone began to scream. Alina suggested the group should go into Sonia's room where they'd be safe. Everyone agreed. After getting to the room, Uncle Chuck and Mindy's dad pushed the bookcase in front of the door to make sure Miss Pretty Bottom couldn't get inside. As they were doing that, Alina was trying to calm down Sonia, who couldn't believe that Mindy was actually gone. Manic just stayed silent as things were going on around him. He felt as if losing Mindy was all his fault, like he should have been a better boyfriend. Then everyone heard a faint knock coming from above, almost as if somebody was walking on the roof. Everyone looked up shocked to see Miss Pretty Bottom was sitting high upon a wooden beam. She had found her way into the room. Could this really be the day where they were all going to die? Suddenly, Mindy's dad began to go crazy, tears streaming down his face. It seems like losing Mindy hurt him the most. Uncle Chuck tried to calm him down, but it was no use. He was too lost in his own grief. He began to shout as loud as he could at Miss Pretty Bottom. "Come and get me, Miss Pretty Bottom, you fucking slut. You already took my daughter away from me. I dare you, come and get me next." Miss Pretty Bottom suddenly dropped from the ceiling straight onto Mindy's dad's head. He began screaming wildly, telling everyone else to run for their lives. But just as everyone turned to run for the door, another Miss Pretty Bottom broke through the window.
Wait a second, there are two of them now. Where did the other one come from?
Oh yeah, just hold on a bit, it'll explain later in the story. Now, as I was saying, another Miss Pretty Bottom broke through the window. Shards of glass flew everywhere. The doll had tied a giant rope around Alina's neck, dragging her through the window. As Alina was being pulled away, she said one final thing to her loving daughter. "Run, Sonia, run." Sonia did just that, and ran to the door with everyone else, only to see them struggling to move the dresser out of the way. She tried helping, but it was just too heavy to budge. Thankfully, Knuckles was able to find an air vent on the floor that led to the hallway. It was just the right size for everyone to crawl through. They all climbed through one by one. First Knuckles, then Sonic, then Bartleby, Manic, Sonia. Uncle Chuck was the last one. But just as he was crawling through, just as he thought he finally got to safety, he could feel something grab his butt. The Miss Pretty Bottoms have got him. They started pulling him back into the room. Sonic tried holding on to Uncle Chuck with all his might, but he just wasn't strong enough. The rest of the group convinced Sonic that the best thing to do right now was to let the dolls have him while they made a run for it. Sonic didn't want to leave his uncle behind, but deep down he felt they were right. Despite Uncle Chuck begging the kids to help him, the group left Uncle Chuck for their own good. The group hid in the bathroom, unsure about what to do next. It has been almost 2 hours. But even now, everyone is still too scared to go outside. Sonic and Bartleby held each other close, knowing this may just be their final moments together. Then, the door slowly creaked open. Standing in the doorway were the two Miss Pretty Bottoms. Neither of them moved a single inch, almost as if they were studying the group to find their next victim. Suddenly, a toaster flew into the bathroom overhead, straight towards Mantic, who was standing in the bathtub. At the same time, the shower somehow turned on all by itself. When the electricity from the toaster made contact with the water, the bathroom lit up a bright shade of blue. Lightning was everywhere. Manic's body jolted from the shock that was going all throughout his body. Manic was dead.
Wait, I'm dead already. Knuckles, why would you kill me off? I'm your best friend.
This is my story, bitch, and I'll do what I want. You think Manic should shut the fuck up too, don't you?
Yes.
With her Rose death, Sonia couldn't stand it anymore. She just couldn't believe this. Everyone and everything she ever loved was slowly being taken away from her by her most favorite doll in the whole wide world, Miss Pretty Bottom. She felt that maybe, Just maybe she could reason with the doll. She got off the toilet and stood before everyone.
Miss Pretty Bottom. It's me, Sonia. Please, just listen to me. I don't know what's making you do this. But it doesn't matter. There's still good in you, I know it. Don't you remember all the fun times we had together in the past? The tea parties. The sleepovers. Weren't you at least a little bit happy during those times?
Sonia was cut off as a bottom of soap flew across the room and hit her straight in the head. That's when Sonia realized Miss Pretty Bottom was out for blood. In less than a second, the two Miss Pretty Bottoms flew into the bathroom at ungodly speed, knocking Sonia off her feet. Sonia fell head first into the toilet. When that happened, the other Miss Pretty Bottom flew into the bathroom and landed on Sonia, holding her head under the water. As they were dunking Sonia's head in the toilet, Sonia began to cry.
Come on, Sonia, read the next line.
But I don't want to read the next line. You didn't tell me I was going to die.
Will you just read the line already, you dumb bitch? Now, as I was saying. As they were dunking Sonia's head in the toilet, Sonia began to cry.
I was wrong about you, Miss Pretty Bottom. You're not nice, you're mean.
While the two Miss Pretty Bottoms were distracted drowning Sonia, the rest of the group knew that this was their chance to run. They sprinted out of the bathroom as fast as they could towards the living room. As they ran, they looked back to see both Miss Pretty Bottoms now chasing them. Bartleby was tired of this. He pulled out his gun and shot both the dolls in mid-flight.
Staring the stars, feeling the winds every time.
And so, thanks to Bartleby, the world had been saved by the darkness that was Miss Pretty Bottom.
Away from here.
Their only regret was that they couldn't save it before the death of their friends.
For once, 'cause you were such a
Or so they thought.
and there's no one to fill my broken heart. Oh, but now I have realized the reason why I live in this world. Even you have left me here alone. I found the way where I can get hope for the future. Maybe I'm gonna see the new world with nothing but the love you gave me.
Everyone was able to survive their encounters with the dolls. By playing dead, they were able to trick Miss Pretty Bottom.
Maybe I'm gonna go to the new world with nothing but the strength you
So, did you like listening to our spooky tale?
to be afraid of.
Yes.
That's great. Make sure you come back next year to hear another one. Alright.
Yes.